Today on the Self Smarter podcast.
What am I seeking to gain? I need to know more about me, and I need to know more about others, and then I need to be able to marry that information so that we can progress and thrive, right, and be happier working together.
Totally.
Hi, we're Danelle and Megan, the hosts of this conversation-centric podcast for leaders seeking to be better every day. Whether you choose to be a leader in the workplace, at home, or in your community, we believe the most effective leaders are equipped to not only be self-starters, but self-smarter.
Hello and welcome to Self Smarter. I'm Megan and this is my friend and co-host Danelle.
Hello.
So, I thought I'd kick us off today
All right.
with, we love a quote.
Okay.
We love a quote of any kind.
We do.
And in honor of today's episode about coaching, I thought we might share some awesome quotes that we found that are related to our discussion.
Okay.
Okay? So I'll kick it off just to get us going. And I'm going to read this. So it's going to sound like I'm reading.
It's okay.
Okay. The first quote is, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. And that is by Henry Ford.
So mindset. Mindset is critical. Okay. I love this one. Coaching isn't therapy. It's product development with you as the product.
I love that.
Fast Company Magazine.
Yes.
I love that. I mean, like that makes total sense.
Yeah. You're in development always.
Right. And we're going to talk about the difference between coaching and therapy. So
Yes. Good. Okay. Next one. Boop. I'm going to just start that over. I absolutely believe that people, unless coached, never reach their maximum capabilities. By Bob Nardelli, CEO of Home Depot.
Okay. I would have to agree with old Bob.
Same.
Okay, the next quote is, I believe that wherever there is mastery coaching occurring, and whenever coaching is done, mastery will be the outcome. Andrea Lee is who said that.
So a master who's like, if I'm coaching you to be a master or I'm a master.
I think they're talking about mastery.
Mastery.
Which is basically the practice, the 10,000 hours. It's putting in the time and the effort. That's the way I read that.
Mastery will be the outcome.
Absolutely.
Which we used to talk about a lot, mastery. Used that to be a word around here.
Yeah.
Hasn't so much lately. I don't know what happened to that. It wasn't one of our core values.
No. But I mean, we did. We had studied, and, Seth talks about Seth Godin, who y'all know that we are big fans of. But he talks about that is where success often lies, is the commitment to being not perfect.
Right.
But to master through the practice of doing the thing over and over and over again and continuing to pour your heart into it. So that's where the magic occurs. And in fact, I want to do some episodes just in the future. I'm reading a book right now, Big Magic, by Liz Gilbert, the one who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Well, she has an incredible book on the role of creativity in our lives. And she does talk a lot about mastery. Like, if you want to be successful at something, the commitment to do it over and over again. So in this instance, I think that mastery is being used as it relates to coaching being something that coaching is an exercise. So anyway, that's the way I read that.
Great. Okay. Do we have any funnies to open up with today?
No.
I kind of went serious.
Do what?
I kind of went on the serious angle today.
Give our listeners a little mix.
A little break.
A little break from, our gift of gab.
From the shenanigans. Do y'all like the shenanigans? We'd love to know. All right. Before we get into coaching, why coaching is critical, let's hop to this quick advertisement.
Hello, Self Smarter listeners. I know you've heard me say it time and time again, but I'm going to say it again. As we share more podcast episodes, the more we know what you like most. And now, after recording and sharing with you for a year and a half, we now know how incredibly important the Enneagram test is to you. And quite frankly, I think we know why. Because the truth is, first, we all want to know more about ourselves. Self-knowledge is very important for growth. And second, it's only natural to want to know more about the people we share our lives with. So family members, friends, and coworkers. So this brings me to the point. So thank you for hanging on here with me. Danelle and I are now offering sessions for leaders and their teams to help improve their communication and performance simply by getting to know one another and ourselves even better than we do today. We will lead you and your team down a path of self-knowledge, and we will help you understand your coworkers better so you can all work more effectively and productively. And listen up. Now that we're headed into the holidays, this is a great time to get some coaching booked before the new year. The greatest news of all of this and more information is available at beselfsmarter.com. We're calling it Improving Team Dynamics, and we're offering a pilot price point right now for $3.99 per person. And that is going to change. But right now, between now and the end of the year, we want to offer you that cool deal. So that includes fees for both of the tests. So you don't have to pay for that separately. That all comes with it for all of your team members, and one-on-one time with Danelle and me to provide you all with the input you need to improve your team's dynamics before we rock 2024. So check out the website or email us at info@beselfsmarter.com to learn more, and we can't wait to hear from you.
Okay, so we're talking about coaching today.
Yep.
And why are we talking about this? Well, it's been a big topic of conversation around here.
Well, because I'm a huge proponent of it.
Yes, and we've launched our coaching business. I'm looking for coaching for my son. I'm thinking maybe I need to be coached more.
Yeah.
I've got all these thoughts about coaching going on in life. Mm-hmm. And I just was curious, like, is this a trend? Is this a thing? Turns out coaching is growing in terms of popularity globally.
Okay.
Okay, so for sure in 2019, it was up. Well, after COVID,
Yeah.
it has just shot right up. So in the United States, it's really taking off.
Yeah.
So it is taking off globally, and I'll include a link in the show notes so that you can see the source that I'm talking about, but definitely in the United States. So why are people getting coaching? Well, if it isn't already obvious, I'll tell you why. According to this study, the top 5 most common benefits of business coaching are increased self-confidence by 80%.
Wow.
And this is a thread across multiple studies that I found. But this one was the one I liked the most because it had more beyond self-confidence. But self-confidence is the number one thing. Second to that, improved relationships at 73%. Communication skills is next at 72%, and interpersonal skills at 71%. And then work performance at 70. I just wonder with this study, what was inconclusive is, it's not just people at work who are getting coaching.
No.
So then that tells me that this is very specific to people who work.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, executive coaching in particular is in demand.
Yep.
As about 25% to 40% of all Fortune 500 companies invest in executive coaching for their leaders. Boom, drop the mic. Yay for them. Mm-hmm. Why are they Fortune 500 companies, one might ask?
Yes.
Maybe it's because their number one priority, or one of their priorities, is teaching their number one assets how to be better leaders. Right. Okay. This, according to a website called UpCoach. And again, I'll add the link in the show notes there.
Yeah, and I think as we're diving in, I mean, I hadn't seen those stats, so that's interesting that the increased self-confidence, improve relationships, communication skills, interpersonal skills, and 5th on the list was work performance. So that says a lot if you're thinking about what people and or companies are wanting people, what they're seeking by investing in coaching. And I think it's important because we talk a lot on this podcast about the fact that I've been coached.
Yes.
And we talk probably a little bit even more about the fact that I am an avid therapy goer.
Yes.
There's a distinction between the two. And I think it's important to spell that out because I now as both are, because therapy's up as well. Thankfully, therapy also needs to continue to be on the rise as far as I'm concerned. Yes. But if you think about therapy, you can think about therapy being something that focuses on the past and the present because you're usually working through something you've experienced.
Yes.
And then how that impacts you today.
Yes.
Like who you are, where you are. Coaching, on the other hand, tends to lean towards the future and that basis being on where you are today.
Sure.
How are you showing up today? How are you communicating today? Let's talk about your confidence in the work that you're doing or the team that you're leading, and then let's prepare you for the future. So I'm not saying that coaching never goes into the past. That's not true. But it typically starts with where you are now and where you want to go. Mm-hmm. Whereas therapy, it has to be seated in somewhat of the past. Like you are behaving or you're showing up in a way or you're struggling with something because of some experience, along the, in your past. So I like that because I think that frames it differently for people, because sometimes you're like, oh, I don't need coaching because I'm in therapy, or vice versa. Yeah. Plenty of therapy. That is my coaching. And not to say that there's not overlap. And I've experienced the overlap in some ways, but mostly they've been drastically different, because the coaching for me has been more of me as a leader, executive, and so that's just, I like the idea of starting this off with the difference between the two.
Yeah, in preparing for this episode, I was thinking to myself, in my life, I have done both. You've done both, but which one have I done more? I think I've received more coaching than I have therapy. My son, Cooper, at one point, you walked through this with me. I mean, now I look back and I think to myself, okay, maybe I was a little dramatic, but like around 10, I think he was, I was really hot. Aaron and I were both like on getting him therapy. When you put it into this context that therapy is for things that happened in the past.
He was all the ripe age of 10. Yeah.
The therapist says, okay, usually when kids need therapy, it's because something's chemically wrong. Somebody's hurt them, or that's pretty much it.
Or that's it. Okay.
And so after weeks of us paying this therapist, which yay, because just sometimes for validation or feel better about it, he's like, there's nothing wrong with this child. He's just headstrong.
Yeah.
And he needs to be challenged.
Right.
Then it was like a revelation. Then what do we need? Coaches.
Yep. Right.
This person has been coached. I've written so many checks to coaches. Like when I was preparing for this episode, I started thinking to myself, you should go back and count how many times you've paid a coach to help this child. Now he's 16. We've got music coaches. We've got cello coaches. We've had several guitar coaches. We have a college preparation coach. Now we're talking about another coach. We have a physical fitness coach.
Okay.
I mean, we've had baseball coaches. We've had soccer coaches.
Yes.
The coaches.
Right.
So.
But those are traditional coaches. And what we're talking about today, obviously. But I mean, I think that's good context.
Yes.
When you're looking at the difference between therapy and coaching, and when are they necessary? In my mind, for me, they're both necessary.
They are.
But that's not always the case. And it always hasn't been the case for me. But what I would say is we're talking about the type of coaching that's really more around helping you improve as a leader.
Right.
That's what the type of coaching that we're talking about today.
But I would argue raising a child without all these coaches, I think they've put him in a position to become, they've helped put him in a position to become a leader. Same with Mackie Payton.
Yeah.
The coaching she's had with her voice, her acting.
Yeah.
Her this, her that. Anytime someone's being coached, they're aiming towards something big.
Yeah.
So if you just think about back on your own life, listener, and where you are today, maybe those coaches helped you get there. So only take a minute to think about what your future could look like if we were to consider professional coaching.
Well, what you're saying is, we become leaders or whatever. We decide that we want to become leaders. It's also the same thing if I decide I want to play the guitar.
I need help.
Now, I can go on the internet now, and I can go to YouTube, and I can go to TikTok, and I can find ways to do basic chords. But if I really want to progress my guitar playing, then what I would do is go hire someone to coach me in the guitar. That makes total sense. And I think the point you're getting to is, why wouldn't we think that we should be coached as a leader?
Why wouldn't we?
Right.
If
I would have invested as a coach, as a leader, I probably wouldn't have got the 26% approval rating. We might not have had this podcast. So boo to that. But and I think when you start to think logically about it, but I think what I have experienced when people are resistant to coaching, leadership coaching, executive coaching, that type of coaching that we're talking about here today, it's because they have that same odd feeling about it, much like therapy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm broken, so I don't know that I'm not broken. It's not about that. It's about progressing yourself, and you can be working on a number of different things, but when you just think about it from that lens, but I do think there's, what does it look like? Does it mean I'm weak if I'm doing coaching?
Right.
Does it mean I'm weak because I admit that I'm in therapy? No. In today's, but there has been.
It's actually very strong.
Right. But there's also been very much a stigma. That's what I think. I think that's what I'm trying to say here is there's been a stigma, and we want to help dismiss that, because why wouldn't we want to take advantage of all opportunities to progress ourselves, especially as it relates to leadership, which is, we don't believe on this podcast that leaders are born.
Right.
We believe when you make that decision, you become a leader.
Yeah.
But in order to become an effective leader, there's work that has to be done. So that's why we're proponents of seeking coaching ourselves, but then also it's something that we want to provide our listeners. So
totally. Okay. You talked a little bit about this, but I'd like for us to go deeper. Why is coaching so critical for leaders?
I mean, it starts to me with what you know about yourself. So I would say self-awareness and personal growth is, to me, the number one benefit that I have not only experienced myself, but others that I've, had the conversations with or have seen, even those of you've been in coaching.
Yeah.
So, I can see that that's the number one reason for it, because it's one of the fundamental aspects of effective leadership is self-awareness. So what do we know about ourselves?
Totally.
How do we know? And believe me, again, there's so many different ways that we can learn that on our own. But where I have found the benefit is I went into all my coaching knowing my Enneagram number, knowing my strengths, knowing my disc. Like, I knew a lot about me. But what I wanted to learn more about was knowing myself. I needed someone to help me understand how to maximize my strengths, and someone to help me navigate when things can go awry. I also can see that from a personal growth standpoint, again, and I don't know if we're going to talk about the types of coaching that are out there, but there's one-on-one coaching, obviously, but then there's also group coaching. And so I went into the group coaching. Actually, you mentioned COVID. I actually invested in it during COVID, and I think a lot of us did, because we had the time, or at least that. Yeah. I don't know that we had the time, but because of what we were restricted to, if you were thinking about coaching before COVID, that's exactly what I did. I was like, I've been putting this off.
Yeah.
Why would I put this off now? Right. When it was over Zoom, and it was great, and it was an intensive. So yeah, self-awareness. And I think too, because, coaching provides to me what I've experienced is a safe and supportive environment. And whether it was the one-on-one coaching or the group coaching, and, I've been lucky, I've had great coaches, so that have really helped me. And they've been able to help me identify things about myself and my tendencies, as well as when we were peer-to-peer. And working with other executives, it was extremely helpful. So, and I think too, when you're thinking about personal growth, it's when we gain insights about our behaviors and thought patterns, whether that's through exercises or dialogues or scenarios that they put you through. When we're going through these exercises, is people can help you identify your blind spots.
Totally.
And that's what I found to be probably, again, one of the number one reasons why coaching is so critical is self-awareness and personal growth.
It's so interesting because you're talking about self-knowledge, and I just want to point out for our listeners, we've we have the beselfsmarter.com, which has the coaching tools and the various options for people. Mm-hmm. There's one that's called Improving Team Dynamics.
Yeah.
And as we're writing the copy for it and we're trying to figure out how to tell y'all about it and like why you need to do it, Danelle keeps saying, I mean, you probably said it.
I mean, I felt like I said it 30 times. And I was like, am I? Like,
why is it not in here? Like, why are you not putting in here? But it's self-knowledge. First comes self-knowledge, then comes the knowledge of others. And so she's really hot. You're really hot on the self-knowledge, man. And that's good because you can't do anything unless you know yourself.
You can't. And I mean, we literally created that particular session and we wanted it to be something that people could easily afford.
Yes.
And you can learn a lot in a short amount of time about yourself and those on your team.
Please, y'all.
And when you just know those things, your dynamic's going to change immediately. And we've put other things around it to support the acceleration of that dynamic. But yeah, that was born out of all that we've been through the last 8 years, but in particularly what I experienced in coaching. Now, we're not certified coaches, and that's not the business we're in. We are just applied people who've been through this and that want to share it. And now we've condensed our years of learning into a digestible format. But that's where it comes from. It's not that difficult in terms of what am I seeking to gain? Mm-hmm. I need to know more about me and I need to know more about others. And then I need to be able to marry that information so that we can progress and thrive, right? And be happier working together.
Totally.
Yeah.
And understanding one another, empathy. Yeah. Okay. So another reason why someone might want to consider coaching is the improved communication and interpersonal skills.
Yes.
So, effective communication is at the core of successful leadership. And coaching enables us, along the lines of what we were just talking about with the improving team dynamics. I may not realize that I have a lack of communication in some instances.
Yeah.
Like if I get stunned or surprised, I'm probably not going to say anything. You know that about me.
Right.
And I know about you, if you're stunned or surprised, you're absolutely going to say something and it's probably going to sound like, what? When? How? You start going into the questions. And so, but we know that about one another. So the coaching has improved both of our communication skills, not just us, all of us, relative to understanding, okay, that's a trigger for me. And this is what happens when someone surprises me. Or if someone gives me something good, how does Megan respond?
Yes.
We know those things inside and out. And so these are one of those outcomes that one should expect when going through coaching, individual coaching or team coaching.
Right.
Either way.
Yep.
I think another important thing relative to improve communication is learning how to actively listen. That was on my notes and I did not mention that.
Okay.
We have to be able to actively listen. And what that means is, and I struggle with this because I'm a daydreamer, have been forever. Thank you, Miss Lowe, for my second grade class for telling my mother that. My teacher. She's a daydreamer. Well, yes, she is. How do I become an active listener as a daydreamer? Focus. Really make eye contact, listen.
Yeah.
And I worry about that, honestly, for Cooper. He kind of drifts, but that's okay because I know we're young and we're working on that. But ultimately, these things help you foster deeper relationships. And if you're fostering deeper, better relationships at work, you are moving things in a positive way.
Yep.
Positive momentum creates positive momentum.
Yep.
Do you recommend one-on-one coaching for this, Danelle, do you think?
Or
is this...
improved communication and interpersonal skills, that's what you're speaking to specifically. Yeah. I mean, I can't help but recommend one-on-one coaching for all of this. Yeah. But I also have been one to gain extreme benefit from group coaching. I've gained from both. And we'll put some links to some of the coaches that we've experienced great success from, Katie Shannon, who led Kristen Hadid, Wendy McManus. For those of you in the produce industry, I'm sure you're familiar with Wendy. We love Julie Harper. We haven't worked specifically with her, but she's on our list. We love her point of view, and she's developing her coaching business as well. So we'll put some of these links because we want these people to be successful, and they in many cases they are certified in a particular either type of coaching or coaching in general. But I can't help but recommend it. I think what you have to know about specifically going into coaching is what do you want to work on?
Right.
Sometimes the group coaching is more, it's already specifically lined out what it's going to be about.
Okay.
You're going to work on X, Y, Z, these things. But the one-on-one coaching, typically you can go into those relationships saying, I want to work on these things. Or, I'm getting this feedback. I've gotten this feedback. That's what I did. I went into coaching going, I got a 26% approval rating. Here are my results. Here's what I scored high on, and here are the things. And mine was easy because it was communication. And I had some great interpersonal skills. I was fun to be around. But boy, when things got difficult around here, I didn't have great interpersonal skills. So, I would definitely always recommend one-on-one. But again, there's benefits to both.
Okay.
Yeah.
You brought it up just now, but tell us a little bit more about that conflict resolution and team building. Like you just mentioned, you had a hard time with that.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things I had to work on. And if you're looking at what are the benefits of coaching,
yes.
I needed to learn how to deal with difficult conversations and conflict. I would go red too quick. Meaning go to red. I would go to hot. I could escalate, and I just didn't even have the tools personally to mitigate that. So of course, in the business setting, because it's a personal skill, it's how you're wired, it wasn't great either. So I think that it's definitely one of the things that you should be wanting to know more about. I doubt there's many people who are like, I got conflict down. I got it down to a science, So I even though there's been times I felt alone and sometimes in this journey, that's one thing that I know that most people struggle with. Conflict is not, the easiest. And even when you think you're good at it, you're going to be challenged. There will be someone or some instance where you're going to be challenged. And so the more tools you have to your disposal and knowing how to mitigate that, the better. And so then I think that just also plays into if you are leading a team and good leadership is by example, then working on those particular aspects of conflict resolution is in difficult conversations and, how to deal with your either temper or lack of one, because either end of the spectrum is not great. So yeah, that has definitely been, a top benefit for me is learning about that. And it's constant work.
Okay. Let's talk about conscious learning and adaptability. So I wish what I'm about to say was not true, but it is damn true. The landscape of business is constantly changing. Mm-hmm. Okay. As a 9 on the Enneagram, I would love for the landscape of business to stay just the same. DMA had a record year last year. I would love for every year to go exactly like 2022. Mm-hmm. Alas, it's very different.
Yes. 2023. Yes.
And along those lines, relative to coaching, I might need some because I have to continually learn how to navigate healthy waters and troubled waters.
Yep.
I need to know how to adapt effectively in those scenarios and not be overcome with panic or whatever. Or good in a good scenario. Oh God. I mean, I feel like it's like there's always a panic mode in good or bad. It's panic in good mode is, oh no, I don't know that we have all the people we need. Or, oh no, I don't know that we have enough whatever to go around. I don't know. Like you think of all these scenarios, of course, a 9 goes to 6 in stress. So this is all natural. But the point is that adaptability and movement, we just said this, are absolutely critical for the health of yourself.
Yep.
Not just the health of the organization.
True.
So this might be something where coaching is absolutely necessary. You're not talking about the past. Mm-hmm. You may touch on it a little bit relative to why you panic, Megan, in certain situations.
But the thing is that you know you're panicking, so help me. Yeah, navigate.
Yeah,
adaptability.
why is that? And now maybe you're framing it. That's what a coach would say. You're probably framing the situation a little bit out of whack. Can you see that? Yes, I can. Okay,
Yes.
well, let's talk about what success looks like.
Right.
How are we going to get there? So I think continuous learning and adaptability is continuous learning from a business perspective, yes, but also from a coaching perspective. Guess what? You're going to change.
Right.
Just like a business changes, you're going to go through the motions of life and things are going to change for you. And how are you going to do that by yourself? You're probably not.
Yeah.
Not well.
Right.
So continuous learning and adaptability are very, very important to know.
Right.
What do you know for sure about coaching?
I mean, leadership is about people. And I don't know how to say it, but people are complex.
Yeah.
And our environment, whether it's whatever the environment, I mean, it's just relative to the lives we lead. There is just a lot to be learned. There's just so much that we need to be considering as those who have chosen the role of leadership. And so I just honestly believe that I know that for people who are interested in being an effective leader, coaching is critical in my point of view. So I know that that's for sure. I think through things that you can gain from coaching, like self-awareness, improved communication, better decision making, and again, the list goes on and on. Coaching should put, whether it's one-on-one or with a group, it should put you in a position to know more about yourself and know, hopefully, depending on the type of coaching, you can learn more about others as well. So I think that it's necessary, period, if we're looking to improve on those skills that we talked about. And I also think that organizations who support their people in being coached, that is an investment in the company's future. And, it's certainly something that, and we've talked about it a lot on here, prior to, 8 years, we would invest so much money in being the best marketers on the planet. I mean, all of our development was around our craft. And when we realized that I had work to do, and when we realized that the culture of our company was not healthy, and we flipped that investment of development into individuals and our teams, we do both. Yep. It changed. It evolved our culture into being a healthy version of what we had wanted. So I know that, again, I guess I can summarize that by saying it doesn't just help the people, it should also help the business. And I think that ultimately great coaching, no matter how it's structured, comes from the person who is receiving the coaching. Your mind has to be, and I definitely know this for sure, especially for people who companies just mandate it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you get a review and you're like, okay, we're going to ship you off to coach. We're hiring you a personal coach. Sometimes it comes to you because you're not doing the best that you can be. And sometimes companies are proactive before one can get to that point, and you will, if you haven't already. And most of our listeners, I'm sure, have struggled in a leadership bus. Sure. You wouldn't be listening to our podcast.
Yes.
That, it's most often the result of a struggle. Mm-hmm. And so when that is the case and you're opting in, I don't care if it's coaching or therapy or what, it's an investment in you. So the more you have a healthy mindset around it, the more you're going to get out of it. And good coaches should set you up for that. And I mean, again, there were times that I made the investment myself in being coached, and there were some sessions where my head just wasn't in it. And so that's why I, really value the coaching experiences I've had, is that they took the time to spend 15 minutes to get me in where my mind was in the right spot. Because maybe I'd had a bad day. Maybe, maybe I'd dealt with a challenge. Mm-hmm. A good coach can prepare you for the session and the investment that you're about to go into. So that's what I know for sure about coaching.
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's transition to our music moment, which I'm excited to talk to you about, because when I realized this the other day, that December is right around the corner, sometimes that can be very stressful depending on where you are and the, your mindset around holidays. But one thing I know that you and I have in common is we look forward to our Spotify Wrap every year. Mm-hmm. And that comes out the first week of December.
I know. I love it.
It's coming. It's like the week after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And then everybody blows it up on social media and everybody talks about what their big music was. So my question for you, without looking, is who will be, I know who last year was, there was no question for me last year who our number one was going to be. Mm-hmm. Who's going to be our number one, maybe 2 or 3 top artists listened to in 2023?
Ooh, wow.
Who do you think's going to be on there?
I mean, Brandy was last year, and Brandy's probably going to stay in my top 3.
I think for me too.
For a long time, because she keeps putting out music.
I know.
And not just her own music. She may be working on an album, but what she's done now is she's doing all these collaborations with other artists. So that will still, I'm sure, in the Spotify algorithm, count.
Show up.
She's going to, that will show up. So I think I have one that might be surprising to you. Ooh. I'm so into her music right now and into her as an artist. But Miley Cyrus,
yeah, I've noticed you've been sharing more on Instagram.
I think her work right now, the music that she's putting
vulnerable.
out, it is raw storytelling. And she just put out a special. I just watched on Hulu on one of the long leg flights that I've been on. And I would recommend, we'll put a link to it, but it was so good. It was called her Backyard Sessions or something. And if that's her backyard, good for you, Miley, because that was something freaking impressive. But it's a really good show, and it's talking about where she is with her music and her art. And again, just another artist, a child who was thrust into the throes of television at a very young age, very, popular dad in the music world, for some. And she struggled. She hit that wall, and watching her recover and come out as just this stronger version of herself and to put out music, I can't help but want to support her, but I just genuinely love the music that she's playing. And it's really good.
I really need to listen to it.
You do. It's some deep storytelling there, and she's just gifted. And I kind of had her in a box, and I'm really glad that I've given her music a chance. So I think Miley Cyrus. I don't know who else. I'm listening to all kinds of random genres right now, so I don't know who the third one would be.
I'm guessing globally, or at a minimum in the United States, but I'm guessing globally, the big result's going to be Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if Taylor's in my top 5. I think they give you top 5.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised at all.
Yeah. And then I think number 2 or 1 is going to be Beyonce.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be close because of her
Those
tour.
that have been touring, yeah.
Yes.
What about you?
Which is why last year, Brandy, she was touring, and I think she was, on fire.
And we saw her a lot.
So we were listening to her a lot. But I tend to gravitate towards people I'm going to see.
Sure.
And I love to see music. So I'm going to see, this is a bucket list thing, I'm going to see U2 in November.
What?
Yes.
You didn't tell me.
I know, it just happened. Summer and I are going to go. This is mine and Aaron's Christmas gift.
Okay.
For Summer and I to go. No, I'm kidding. We're going as couples.
Okay, fine.
We're going a little couples trip to Vegas to see U2. And Summer and I have
exciting.
I know, and Aaron loves U2.
Do they have a new album out, or are they just doing the classics?
They're doing the classics at the Sphere.
Oh, wow. That's going to be fantastic. New building. I'm excited for you.
We can't wait. So I've been listening
nonstop.
to U2 nonstop, so they're definitely going to show up. Travis Scott, I will say, Utopia is the new album. It came out, I want to say mid to end July. Mm-hmm. It's Cooper's favorite artist. And I just have to say, I remember when Madonna was hot and I was a kid, my mom was like, oh, I like her. She listened to Madonna.
Yeah.
I just didn't see myself being like that. I love this kid.
Oh,
this
awesome.
Travis Scott.
I'll have to listen to his music.
So good.
Why
And
do I
Cooper's
know his name?
obsessed.
I know his name for some other reason.
He's famous.
Oh.
I think
Was he the
married
Blink
to Kylie? No.
Oh, he's a part of the Kardashians?
Well, he's not even. I don't know. I know there's children involved, but I don't know if they're still together.
I think that's fake news.
No,
About Kylie. Isn't the other one
Kendall?
the older? I don't know.
I don't know, but I know that he was married to somebody.
Could somebody sort this out for us, listeners?
And one of our Gen
Mackie
Zers-
Payton is going to have a heart attack
You're like, "Mom."
momentarily.
But let me just tell you about this artist, Travis Scott. It's a mix of, he doesn't even say rap. It is rap, but it's more R&B and lo-fi. And that's why I like it.
Ooh, the lo-fi.
The lo-fi. And Cooper and I got into this big debate last night about it. I was like, Cooper, he is lo-fi 100%. And he's like, no, he's not. He is. He 100% is. He's coming to Dallas
Lo-fi
soon.
being like easy listening?
Easy and like
Cool.
a little electronic.
Okay.
And easy. Yes. But beats still present.
I'm going to throw that out so I'll be cool with the kids.
Yeah.
Lo-fi.
Lo-fi.
Okay, I have to remember that.
Yes, that's
Okay.
Cooper's favorite. And now he's arguing with me about Travis Scott. But anyway, this Utopia album is really good.
I'll give it a listen.
Give it a listen. And he's like, he's huge, Mom. Like, he's a big deal out there. Like, if you talk about Travis Scott, like, everybody's going to know you're talking about. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
So anyway. And then, of course, Brady Carlisle.
Yeah. Oh, Brandy. So that's your top three.
Those are my
you
top
two?
three.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll circle back
We
when the
will.
Spotify raps come out for those of you who listen to Spotify.
Yeah, and I don't know that they do like a global rap, but they should.
Okay.
They really should.
You mean
So
global
Spotify,
artists?
Yeah, like what I was saying. Like I'm guessing Taylor Swift and Beyonce are
Yeah.
going to be like at the top one, like the tie for top 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wish they would tell me that,
Yes.
and then we can talk about it here.
All right.
All right. It's been a wonderful episode today. Thank you, Janelle. Thank you all for listening. We've got some stuff for you in the show notes. If you want to refer to those, that would be helpful to you. I know it will, because we're going to have our friends and coaches that we've worked with and other sources that we've mentioned throughout the podcast. Please remember to tell a friend, especially a friend that you know that might be going through a leadership challenge and may need some coaching.
Right.
Visit BeSelfSmarter.com. We have some options for coaching there for you. So take a look and see if one strikes your fancy. And until next week, we send you to the week with grateful hearts.
Goodbye, everyone.
As always, you can connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Self Smarter Podcasts. You can also leave a rating or review if you enjoyed what you heard today. Not only does this mean so much to us, but it also helps other leaders and future leaders find our community. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us in becoming Self Smarter. This podcast is produced by Snacks Media, and music is from a free platform. Well, that is until Brandy Carlisle reaches out to us to write the original score for our podcast. Friends, have a great rest of your day.